4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone who is watching the Global Empowerment Summit. Here we are with the afternoon block, and it's morning in South Africa, morning in Europe. If you're watching us from there, then welcome at this show where we are here with Chrishanne, and Chrishanne will talk about something very specific that we will not disclose yet before we get to know Chrishanne a little bit better. So, Chrishanne, hi, how are you? How are you today?
Hi,
And tell us a
Andrea.
little bit more about yourself.
Hi, Andrea. I'm a little tired because last night was my first time moderating a panel session. So still recovering from it, but I had fun with it. It was a new challenge. You want me to introduce myself, Andrea?
Yes, please, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, and then what is your favorite food, for example, or what do you like to do in your free
My
time?
favorite food would be pasta. I like pasta. I like sandwiches. I like soup. I got noodle soup. I eat most foods, but I have to be a little bit careful about spicy food because I suffer from gastritis. So otherwise, food is anything pretty much goes.
That's super good. So tell us a little bit about your work, because your work is so exciting. You're helping people to express themselves in writing. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Uh, yes, thank you, Andrea. So basically, I help my clients to positively position their value, be it personal or professional, for either their online or offline presence, whichever is applicable, by helping them to craft a clear and crisp message to suit the purpose of communication and their intended target audience. I provide a variety of written communication services. My niche service, which is related to the topic of this interview today, is I redesign and edit my client's resume or CV. I also do proofreading, copywriting, translation, individual profile, company profile, and for some clients, perhaps they need help with typing services because they have some documents that are not in Word document. So I've been doing this since January 2018, and it's been a very challenging and adventurous journey. But I have succeeded because I started doing this without any guidance. I just figured it out from scratch, and I have managed to get through the various challenges and obstacles that have gotten my way. And thankfully, I started doing freelance work and being online more than 3 years ago. So, therefore, because of the unexpected global pandemic last year, I wasn't really affected that much because most people already know me, especially when it comes to resume writing or redesign and edit CV service.
That's something that you were already like in the tube before anything happened. So you were already in the system and you already knew how to work online. Very, very good on you. Let's talk a little bit more about the specific topic today, which is the perfect CV, because we have around 20 minutes to talk about this topic, and I believe you can give some tips and you can give some advice for all the people here. The summit this year is concentrating on the young and the wise, so would be nice if you could give us an intergenerational perspective, like what people first of all, what is a resume and what are the basic things that people should write in it?
Okay. Actually, resume and CV, they are distinctly two different things from what I've heard about it. However, in Malaysia, it's like interchangeable resume and CV. Basically, a resume is a little bit more shorter, is short and sweet and to the point. it has minimal information like your personal, like your name, your age, your phone number, your email, a little bit briefly about your working experience, your education, and then perhaps you also want to put in things like references. A CV is basically more comprehensive. However, it doesn't, to me, it really doesn't matter whether you do a resume or CV, because some employers and some companies have different criteria. Some want a very brief resume, maybe 1 or 2 pages. But I would find that challenging personally, because, and I think for most of my clients, that would be challenging to come up with a 1 to 2 pager, because especially if you have several years of working experience and you've gone for training, you've been involved in various other activities and all that, to squeeze in that volume of information into 1 or 2 pages would be a challenge, number one. Number two, if you can squeeze that in, it's not going to be very pleasant to read, because it's going to be a lot of information that is squeezed into a very limited space. And personally, for me, I find that it doesn't make for pleasant reading, because I don't know, do I look left, do I look right, do I look up, do I look down? There isn't sort of a system or an organized structure. So the way I do the resume or CV, and the reason why I provide this service is, when I was doing my degree, we were not given a guide on a resume or CV. So as part of a course called Introduction to, I think, Career and Communications, we had to design our own business card and resume. So because I'm detail oriented, I'm meticulous, I look at things in a very systematic, organized way. I started putting down on paper how to, what are some of the things that should go into it. So to reiterate, it depends. Sometimes there is no hard and fast rule on the amount of information to put in. But what I advise and suggest to those who are listening in, for whether you have a resume or don't have a resume, is you have to think about it very systematically. The way I do it, I start with the photograph, because in recent years, a passport size photograph is necessary. Okay, and if you provide the passport size photograph in your resume, the plus point is, then when the employer asks you for a hard copy, you can tell them, well, it's already in my resume. Okay, because it is an additional cost for you to be printing that passport size photograph, and most likely the company may not keep that for long. Okay, so the photograph is important, a very professional, high resolution photograph taken at the photograph studio. Then you start off with your contact details, your name, your age. Um, you could also put in your address, because some of the positions are very venue based. So that information is beneficial, because some of the positions require you to travel. Some of them may be not too far away from your location. Then you can next you can put in your education, and you start with your last highest education. So if you completed a bachelor's, your highest would be a bachelor's, then would be your high school. And if you got a master's, then you start with the master's, then the bachelor's, and then the high school. So between 2 to 3 education, what do you call it, qualifications you put there. Okay, and then you can put in something like objective and future goals. My own resume has these things that I'm telling you about. And over the years, and the reason why I provide this service is, besides me not, I figured it out from scratch. Over the years, I have done various versions. What started off as a resume became a CV, and taking into consideration feedback from interviewers, from recruitment consultants, my own personal experience, I have added and edited and made changes from what started off as a resume and became a CV. based on what I've heard about the definition. So coming back to the rough sequence that I look at, so personal details, the photograph, personal details, objectives and future goals. Then next you can put in what do you call it, an executive summary. This would be beneficial for those who have several years of working experience. Perhaps for fresh graduates, you may not have much to say, because an executive summary highlights the points that you want the employer to pick up on, your skill set, the knowledge that you have that is suitable for the position that you're applying for. And it is said that when you're applying for a position, you are supposed to adapt your resume or CV to highlight certain skills and working experience and education related to the position. However, that again is not a hard and fast rule. It depends on you whether you want to go about that, because you are applying for, sometimes you're applying for various positions in different types of roles. So that means you would have maybe 3 or 4 different versions. So I'm not sure whether you would want to spend that amount of time and effort having that many multiple versions. So then for the executive summary, for those who have several years of experience, for fresh graduates, perhaps that's not that relevant. And then you put in things like skills, personal skills, computer skills, any expertise or any specialized skills that you want to highlight to the potential employer. And then you come up after that, you can put in things like the languages that you speak, the competency in terms of spoken and written, whether it's very basic or very fluent competency of that language. And then you can put in things like a chronology of your working experience. So you can so that way, basically the service I provide, whoever's reading the resume, in 5 minutes or less, they should be able to extract some of the important information, and later they can go back and look at the rest of it. So that's why the chronology of the working experience is there. Okay, you put in things like the start, the end date, the company name, the position. And then after that is when you go into the details of the various positions you've had. Okay, the name of the company, start and end date, the position. If you report to a certain supervisor, you put in that information, and then you break it down to the job description. And this is where you need to be a little bit careful in the descriptive words you use, because from my personal experience, I notice most of my clients like to use the same choice of words multiple times. Nothing really wrong with that, but to me, sort of gives the impression that you have a very limited vocabulary. So you can use maybe the same word like responsible or managed or prepared twice, but not in the same sequence. And perhaps, you can use like a thesaurus to find other words that have the similar meaning, so that you don't have so much of duplication. Okay, and then after you put down the list of duties, which usually would be in your employment letter, which you would get from your employer before you start the job, before you sign the employment contract. So you take that information from there. And then perhaps if you want, you can put in after the job duties for that position, you can put in any accomplishments, any achievements that were part of the things that you achieved or accomplished while you were with that organization. Okay, and then so you start working your way down to the number of companies. Okay, and after that you can put in things like hobbies and interests, because some companies actually in their application form they ask this question: hobbies and interests, any awards or scholarships you have received, trainings attended, any certification, because like for lawyers they have a bar council, for accountants they have ACCA or ICSA and all that. So these kinds of information is beneficial. And then last but not least, you put in your references as well, and you put in your expected salary. And my suggestion is not to put just one figure for the salary. you start from the lowest range to the highest range, and then you put negotiable. Okay. And then if you want to, I've not seen this that much. If you want to, you can also put in the notice period. Okay. Is it 1 month, is it 2 months, is it 3 months? Because certain levels of position require you to provide a different period of time in terms of notice before you leave the organization. Could be varying between 1 month, 2 months, and 3 months. So these are some of the basic things that I look at when I review my client's current resume or CV, and then when I'm improving and enhancing it. Back to you, Andrea. What else would you like to know?
I'm here. So just make sure there will be no voice around. So it's really, really important what you said. I would love to go through again, like very briefly, what you said, because it was really like a big summary, just the points, like starting with the
Okay.
personal details, right? After
Yes.
that,
Start with the photograph, then the personal details. Then you start, next is education. Third is your objectives and future goals. Fourth is skills, starting from personal skills, computer skills, any specialized or or expertise in terms of skills you put in there. Then after that, you put in the chronology of your working experience. Okay, then after that you get into the details of your working experience, each of the individual jobs. And this is where I suggest not too much of the same words being used. And in terms of the job duties, punctuation is very important. Commas in between, and not using too many ends, because it makes the sentence very, very long. Okay. And then you after that you get to the certifications, any trainings attended, any awards you've received, scholarships, and then hobbies and interests. And then the last two would be the references, as well as the your expected salary. And if you want to, you can add in the notice period as well. So in summary, this is a sequence in which I look at. However, some people do it in a slightly different way, which to me, it's not a very systematic and organized way, but perhaps someone advised them to do that. So it's up to the individual to decide whether they want to follow the guide that I've given in a very systematic and organized way, or do they want to put it in a different sequence. Okay, we have a question.
yeah, I think you just answered it. It was about the salary expectation, whether Farah
Yes.
is asking whether you should put it in or not.
It to me it is important. It is important because that is one of the things that the future employer needs to know. And because now most of everything is online, the all the information that I mentioned, I believe, is very important, um, because it provides all the necessary information to the potential employer. And because of the pandemic, most of everything is now online. So it is absolutely important now to put in all this information in your resume or CV, because I'm not sure, perhaps things are slowly opening up in Malaysia. Elsewhere, I'm not sure what's the situation. Face to face interviews perhaps may be taking place, but maybe because of the standard operating procedures and safety precautions, it may only be face to face interviews may only be held when it's absolutely necessary, and depending on the hiring manager, or the deciding person of that organization. So yes, salary expectation, in my opinion, is not a it's not it's very important. It's not a question of good idea or not. Okay, next question. Does the design or color of the CV important? Yeah, in the last 1 or 2 years, I noticed there are various designs, some very colorful templates around, where they've got at the heading, or it's got a border, it's got some colors there, but you have to be a little bit careful about using colors in your resume or CV, because it can be a bit distracting. perhaps you can use a little bit of colors in terms of the font color, or maybe just a little bit at the top around your contact details, or perhaps a border. So, but if you're working in a very creative field like graphic design or website design, perhaps if you're applying for those kinds of positions, you can use color and be a little bit more creative, because that shows your talent and it shows your personality, and it's relevant to the type of position you're applying for.
I think this is something very important. Like I remember Mindvalley was asking for video when you send in some CV. It should be a video interview, talking about yourself and explaining about yourself. So it's really interesting how you have to adapt your CV according to the company you are applying for, right?
Yes, yeah. Some companies in recent years are also asking for video resume. Thankfully, none of the positions I apply for they ask for video resume. But besides some of the things I talked about, you also, besides looking at the traditional ways of looking for jobs in the newspaper classifieds, you also need to utilize LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a very important tool, not only to look for jobs, but to get to know the organization in which you're applying for a position. Okay, this is also doing research about the position you're applying for, and the company you're applying for is also important, so that you can write a cover letter that expresses your interest. It tells the company about yourself, and it will give you a slight edge when it comes to your application when you do your research about the company and the culture of the organization and the role. LinkedIn is one tool, their website is another tool, looking for their annual report is another tool. Okay, there's
Next
another
question is coming
question.
up. Many job scopes requires portfolios instead of resume CV. In your POW, how many pages should be a portfolio?
Okay. This is something I've not really heard about in terms of portfolios. Perhaps this would apply to like certain types of position, like graphic design, or very artistic kinds of positions, or positions where it is very relevant for you to show some of the work you have done. So I wouldn't know how many pages the portfolio should be, because it all depends on how much what is the volume of work you have done, the samples that you can show. So it could be ideally maybe 5 pages, anywhere maybe from 5 pages to 10 pages. And it depends on what kind of document are you showing. Is it a Word document? Is it a PDF file? Is it a hard copy?
Yeah, I
It all
guess if the
depends on
quality,
the requirements of the potential employer. I believe they would specify this in their job advertisement, or when they place an ad elsewhere, they will tell you what are the things you need to bring before you need to come for the interview, and what kind of additional documentation and supportive documents you need to provide.
I would say if you are a designer or copywriter, then make sure that's a very good quality. So print it or do it in a way that it's already how they touch, they feel. Maybe change the paper, because in design, that's what it counts, like how you impress the person who is just touching. I remembered some of my friends back in Europe, they were putting some perfume on the TV and they were
But
doing
this is
this.
when they were going for a face-to-face interview, Andrea. They put the sprayed the perfume on the paper.
No, you send it with the perfume. I mean, before they made it and then they sent it.
Okay.
And when the people open the envelope, of course, the perfume is coming out. So it's kind of like a surprise. And the surprise element,
Ah,
I saw many
okay.
times it was something good, right? Because it's the same for designers. If you have a beautiful image that you created or a beautiful logo, if you just send it like, in this little format, no one will look at it. But if you send a beautiful paper, which is almost like a picture, a real
Yeah,
picture.
it's got nice binding and a nice cover and a front
Yes.
cover and a back cover and all that. Yeah, first impressions are very important, whether it is in a portfolio or whether it's in your resume or CV. That's why I said having a very systematic, organized, and well formatted resume or CV is important. and white space is important. When you squeeze information in that 1 or 2 pages, um, it to me, it is like, it's not a pleasant reading experience. Perhaps if you want to summarize, then it there are certain advantages to disadvantages to summarizing. And if you don't really have that many working experience, or perhaps you just want to highlight the last 4 or 5 jobs because it's relevant to the position you're applying for, perhaps you can try to the challenge of putting it into 1 or 2 pages. But I think maybe 2 or 3 pages is more realistic. 1 page, a summary seems to be a trend, but the ones that I've seen from my clients, the 1 or 2 pages, there are columns and borders and all that. But as I said, it's very distracting. It's very difficult to read.
I really love the points, and Simfong is also saying that 1.5 page for covering letter as well. So yeah, it's kind of giving you some kind of a personal touch with the cover letter, and they know who you are, and it's really important. But before we close this conversation, because time is flying so fast when we are talking about the value,
Sure.
let's just summarize.
Andrea, just one thing. Besides the words you use, you also need to proofread. You need to check the spelling. You need to check the grammar. You need to proofread. So once you've done the version, the resume, please read it 2 or 3 times. Okay, and you can use even like Grammarly, or you can use a spell check in Microsoft Word, because that is part of the first impression. Content is important. However, correct and fluent English is very important. Grammar, spelling, punctuation, the comma, the full stop, all these are necessary. And using bullet points are also a good way of organizing it. Sorry, Andrea, as you were
No,
saying.
perfect tips. I was just waiting for it because I wanted to ask for the don'ts, because these were like your do lists, like what are the main tips for making it nice looking and what you have to pay attention to. But what are the big don'ts? Like list me the top 3 don'ts when it's about CV.
Okay. The top 3 don'ts is, be careful about the words. The choose appropriate words, and when it comes to your current position, you put it in a present tense. When it comes to the job description of your previous jobs, you put it in the past tense. Okay, and then it comes back to what I was just saying just now about the grammar, the spelling, the punctuation. Please use commas. Please use bullets. The third one would be, okay, this is where uh, you need to decide how much information you want to put in. Sometimes you want to put in all your working experiences. However, if you have, say, 8 to 10, perhaps it may be a bit too much, but again, it depends on yourself. And the other don't the number 3 don't is the color. Please be careful with the use of color. Perhaps you can use the color blue. The words of your in your resume, stick to black. Okay. I think these are the 3 don'ts that I can think of based on the resumes and CVs that I've seen from my clients, and what I've learned personally over the years. However, coming back to the very creative positions like graphic design, website, you can use a little bit of color, but not too many colors. Maybe just 2 or 3 colors maximum. And I don't suggest you use red, because red is a very powerful color. Or if you use red, just use it a little bit. Okay, don't use very gaudy, very bright colors. Stick to very simple colors. The safest color to use is, I think, blue. Okay, because it's pleasant on the eyes. It's a cooler color. It's a neutral color.
It's also
Yellow,
professional.
I think doesn't look very good, because sometimes the lighting, the fluorescent tube or the lighting could be also yellow. So yellow can be very glaring and painful on the eyes. So these are the obvious do's and don'ts I can think of.
Thank you, Chrishanne. And before I bring Farah up to the stage, and I would like to thank you for this coming up and sharing us your tools. Share with the audience where they can find you. I put your name here, so if you want to find Chrishanne, you will find her on Facebook and on LinkedIn. But where are the places that otherwise the people can find you, and what's the best way to reach out to you?
The best way to reach out to me is actually through WhatsApp because I check WhatsApp very regularly. So um, my number is 601973262232. I repeat, 601973262232. And on LinkedIn, you can look for Chrishanne the Wordsmith, all in one word. And on Facebook, you can look for Chrishley, as in CHRISHLEI, proofreading, two separate words, and you should be able to find my business Facebook page. So
It
yes,
was so specific to
I
your profession, Christian. I just love this. So people know that you know what you're talking about because this is so unique what you just did.
yes, this is a deliberate choice in terms of the LinkedIn the name as well as the business Facebook page. It's actually very long. So I've given the short version, which is Krishle Proofreading, because I put in all the keywords for the services that I provide in my business Facebook page. So whoever is searching on Facebook, if they use the word proofreading, copywriting, translation, resume, company profile, they should find my business Facebook page. So yes,
Perfect.
maybe the business Facebook page is a little long, but it's a deliberate choice, taking into consideration keywords.
Thank you. Beautiful tips inside and a big message here. So thank you for Simfong. Farah will come on stage, and also thank you for Anis for being here and asking all these questions. I will just switch the studio. I will push a little teaser and then I will bring Farah up. Thank you very much, Krishan, for being
Thank you
here, and
very
thank
much,
you for
Andrea,
the
and thank you
audience.
very much for all those who tune in and ask questions. I look forward to hearing from you, and thank you very much, Andrea, for this opportunity of doing this live interview and to tell people a little bit about what I do and some of the tips, the do's and the don'ts when it comes to writing your resume or CV and improving and enhance it. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Thank
Bye,
you. You
Andrea.
too. Bye bye. Hello, everyone. Here we are. The studio is changing. I will just mute you for a while until our mics are getting used to each other. So here we are at the Global Empowerment Summit, and our next guest is someone who is really in her profession and really busy working and doing her own freelance work, Farah Mazuini, and I'm really, really happy to have her here, a beautiful young talent who is working up for her dreams. Farah, let's start with who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, hi. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. What you're doing is such a great thing. I think we need a lot of this. So, yes, coming to me, it's very clear. My name is Farah Mazuini. And in terms of profession, I do a few things. So, let me just explain that. I'm actually a psychology graduate, NLP certified, neuro linguistic programming. So, I run trainings on psychology, more on mental health awareness, self love, knowing yourself. And on another side, I run digital marketing training. So people are always like, why is it two different world, right? But the pandemic hit and I have to find a way to make money, and I have experience in digital marketing. So I proceeded with running digital marketing training, and I have a very small social media agency that is still growing. And at the same time, at the side, I'm just like very smallly doing all these things in the entertainment industry, hosting, acting, and also plus size modeling. So I'm 26 years old, the young and the wise. So I think I go into the young department. And yeah, I'm very excited to do this. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this introduction, and that shows that how diverse you are and how many things you do. Let me ask one more question. A lot of people are thinking about going into beauty and doing what you do, but a lot of people are afraid. And I just want to talk a little bit about this before we go to our today's topic. What makes you more courageous, and why is it important, the positive body image, and to just go for your dreams?
Oh yeah, I mean it's a very good question because obviously in the entertainment industry, right, it's all about your skin color and weight. Talent comes in a play, but obviously they look at the beauty standard too. And I have been condemned so many times because the way I look or the size I am, I don't have the most perfect skin. But for me, right, it was a dream that I had since a child. You know, I like to see people dancing, people hosting. I was like, I want to do this, and I know that it's not a born with me talent, but I'm willing to learn about it. And I'm like, it's okay. I'm still gonna keep going because one day somebody gonna look at my talent and be like, her size and her, skin color does not matter. It's all about what I want to do. And also, I believe in another one thing. If you are really empowered to go into the beauty and entertainment industry and people are not taking you, you should create your own platform. Do what you want. It's YouTube right now, it's Instagram, TikTok. You have so many ways, so why care about what other people say?
I love this. Is so empowering, and many little girls, as we say in dancing, there's always someone watching you.
Yeah, exactly.
The teachers. So it's really nice that you are empowering so many people by your own example. Today's topic, I want you to a little bit accelerate and explain the title. So self-appreciation, breaking bonds to breaking barrier. Just a little bit for the audience, what we will talk about. Why is this topic important for you? Let's just kickstart the conversation here.
Sure, because right now, right, when it comes to bond, I'm talking about family, relationship. Your girlfriend, boyfriend, friendship, right? There are times it's so toxic that we do not want to break. Even though we know it's toxic, we don't want to break the bond because we think it's very important. And when we do that, we don't appreciate ourselves enough. And when we can't break bonds, how are we going to break barriers that we put out there? The society already have so many barriers for us. And for me, I personally relate in many ways. I think we will go and dissect into it after this. But yeah, the reason I say breaking bonds to breaking barrier, only then you can appreciate yourself. Because if you can't do this, you could never like fall in love with your own self.
I love that you said that. We had Shavati here, and she was talking about self-love, and she has this show that she's doing, Love Matters, and I'm really loving it that there are so many people on this platform talking about self-love. Why do you think self-appreciation and self-love is so important, and especially for the youth? Why do you think we need to talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, right, when it comes to self love, self appreciations, and we're talking about a young, right? Social media is killing us. I'm gonna be real, right? Social media is really killing us because the moment we go to social media, there's so many. What I like to say is that fake perfectionists, you look at someone and you're like comparing yourself to them, and when you don't love yourself, you're constantly, why am I not like this? Why can't I do the same? And then the anxiety kick in, the depression kicks in, and it becomes a bigger and bigger problem. It makes it so easy to compare ourselves to other people, and it causes to have lack self-love. We really don't appreciate ourselves because no matter how good our achievements are, we are looking into how many Instagram likes do I get, how many TikTok views do I get, right? It's so sad, but that's how the youngsters are looking at it. So that's why I think it's very important for the youngsters to understand what is self-love and how important is self-appreciation.
I really love that you mentioned social media because I was testing it a little bit, and we were working together. You were creating some amazing posts, and you were doing the marketing at the beginning of the summit, and it's just a beautiful work what you do. But honestly, we are in this field. I'm also trying to push up the brand, and then we have a lot of things that we do on social media. And whenever I post a perfect picture, it's very interesting. A perfect picture, a lot of like modifications by a I have a beautiful photographer, cinematographer, Jules Wong, who is working on my brand pictures. Then we get a lot of likes. And the thing is that I don't understand the thing behind it, how we could change this. That the likes are not just going for the picture perfect things, but also going for the everyday things. And this is something that you were talking about, the instant gratification, that we are posting some things, but we are also pressured somehow by social media because the reach is going for the beautiful, perfect pictures. And it's sometimes harder to get the same thing for a normal picture, which is kind of like just everyday life.
Yeah, I mean, even just to add on to you, right? I actually made my own testing too. So I kind of wore like a very curvy dress and I posted, and the like was like, I think it hit like 300 something. And then I posted a very normal picture, and the like was only around 150. So you see, when I see this, it makes me feel like, maybe I should just start posting more curvy pictures, right? But then I realized that how real am I? Because to fit on into a curvy dress to go somewhere nice is not something that I do on a daily basis. And I think with social media, a lot of us don't realize how unreal it is. People tend to maybe look at Andrea and be like, oh, Andrea is dancing every day. She's wearing beautiful dresses every day. It's photography every day. And that is why the others think they should do the same. I think the first thing that we should do is, even though the likes are becoming less, we should put out our real self out there. And people are going to start following that. It's going to become a trend. And then we realize that, hey, everyone's normal life is just with a, pajamas, pen, and sometimes working from home. So yeah, I think we got to be real first. That's why I always say that be realistic, be real, then people going to start following us. Yeah.
No, that's perfect
Yeah.
actually, and I also changed this approach at the beginning. I was posting all those pictures, and then I was like, why not? People should see how is it different. And I even posted, one picture when you see me up. I mean, how you say it, modified with the different things positively and in a negative way for another campaign, and in the middle it was my picture, and it was a really nice way to tell to the people, that it's all us, whatever you see, but you need to be aware that it's not always perfect. We are not always perfect. We are just normal people, just like you.
Humans
And
are, yeah, meant to have flaws.
it just resonates more with the audience. That's what I found. And I
Mhm.
wouldn't worry about the follower numbers, right?
Yeah, you
Because
will
that's
attract more genuine audience. You will attract more
exactly
real audience. That's the good part. Yeah.
very, very important, especially for the young people, before we go further with the self-appreciation. And it's part of it is that don't be pushed to put more sexist pictures up, because people like a sexist picture more, because once you put it on online, then all those people will find it who are just searching for these. So make sure that you are not changing yourself or putting
Just for
yourself in
social
a
media. Yeah.
situation. Yeah, exactly. It's something that I learned on the way, that many times, as you said, it's tempting, but at the end, will it be within your barriers, within your kind of values, if you change, right?
Correct.
So let's go for the breaking bonds and the breaking barriers. How would you start? Like, you have a toxic relationship, you have someone in your family. It's a family is so important, especially in Asia. But why is it important to be aware of the things that are pulling you down? And what is the first step towards changing the situation?
When it comes to breaking bonds, right? I mean, I'm gonna be real. I come from a broken family. It's not a bad family. I'll put it out there. My parents are really, what I say, that they really took care of me. This is why I'm here. But from them. It's what I learned, that sometimes when it's not meant to be, you have to let go. Only then you will develop better. Because now, my parents got divorced when I was like 3 years old. I'm 26 right now. When I see the drifted apart, they're doing their own things, it made me realize, hey, if they are together, they might not be where they are right now, because they're not meant to be for each other. It's so different. And then I do see, I've been in a relationship where it's not meant to be also, because we are in two different areas, two different growths, right? But when we were together, we were so stuck, because I couldn't do what I want, he couldn't do what he wanted, just because we keep saying no to each other. And I was like, no, it shouldn't be that way. You should be doing what you love. I should be doing what I love. Right. And then obviously, when it comes to friendship, there's so many types of friendship out there. I am lucky because I have friends that are supporting me, but I also know there are some jealous friends, who would say things that you don't have to hear. will badmouth about you, sometimes simply come and criticize you to put you down. If we keep putting ourselves inside these relationships, the question is, how are we going to grow? I know sometimes it's very, very hard, especially, right? We call all this toxic bonding. Once we are attached to it, we are really attached. It's very hard, but I always say one step at a time. It's never impossible. You could go out there and see how many people came out from a very abusive relationship, toxic relationship, getting divorced in a very hard way. But when they come out way better. And the pain make them stronger. That's why I say that breaking bonds is very important. And once you're already able to actually break your bonds, you see, right, there's so many barriers in our society, in our real life. Speaking about Malaysian or Asian families, or even coming from an Indian family, there's always, what would the society say? The moment you want to do something, is always, what would the society say? If you are able to come up from a relationship that you have heart to heart feeling, the moment you're out from there, right, you wouldn't really care about what the society is going to say, because you know what is the right thing to do already. So that's why it comes like one after another. That's the way I look at it, at least.
I think how the thing goes, I have some sites on India because I have a lot of people coming from there. Even this summit, a lot of people were watching it from there. So I feel that there is a change also in India in this very controlling kind of family. I don't know, family bonds that there is a
Yeah,
kind of like a dynamism that everything has to be on a way, and if someone, especially the woman, would like to learn or educate themselves or do something else than cooking, then it's really hard still to do that, right?
yeah. I mean, yeah, like certain families, I'm not saying everyone, right? Certain families, they look at a way that, once a girl attains certain age, she should get married. And once you are married, you have children, then you can't go to work. And I'm not asking you to break the bond and be like straight divorce. I'm not here to say that get divorced, no. But what I'm saying is, have the healthy conversations, because we are supposed to break the barriers, right? Even for me, because I'm like 26, right? I have a partner, but my parents always says that go and achieve everything, then we are like, anytime, just go and get married after that, because at least you'll be happy. Yeah.
Yes, a European, I really have to count until 10 at this sentence.
Yeah.
This is some of the things that I cannot accept. Of course, it's different. Of course, for every situation is different. And I believe we also have to talk about the fact that breaking bonds doesn't mean that you totally burn the bridge and you never go back and you are having a very bad relationship, right?
Yeah, sometimes, right, breaking bonds also means that having a healthy boundaries with someone, saying that, hey, listen, this is what I want. If this is what you want, let's find a middle ground. Especially, again, I'm coming back to Indian families or children's, right? Let's speak about a 16, 17 years old. You can't run away from your family. That's not what we are saying. But what we are saying is, have that healthy conversations. What exactly do you want to do? Again, giving an example, my mom wanted me to do medicine. And I was like, no way, I'm going to go and see the blood. I'm not okay with it. So I spoke with her and say, listen, I'm interested with human beings. Psychology is an industry that goes into medical line. So why not? And she was like, yeah, okay. It gives a yes to both of us. So do it. Sometimes you just have to have that kind of conversations.
That's very beautiful. So we have Anis and Singfong here, and Singfong is saying he has been married for 44 years, which is like beautiful. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
bond.
Yeah,
It reminds
exactly.
me on like grandparents, grandparents.
Yeah, that's very nice. When you see people who are married for a very long term, right, you can learn many things from them, especially keeping the healthy boundaries, knowing what to do for each other.
And I think we arrived to the third part of the sentence, breaking the barriers. And I believe it's not just breaking your own barriers, but it's also connecting with someone new by breaking barriers, breaking their barriers to get connected and build up something, a new bond, right? So
Yeah,
how
I
would
do.
you do that? What is the trick here? What is the secret?
I mean, there isn't particular tricks or secret. This is personal experience, right? Sometimes when we are already going through trauma and pain, we would never be ready to start something new. And the thing about younger generation, I would say, with everything just on tip of your finger, you can get into a new relationship, you can get into a new friendship. You don't heal from the past. and that's a big no. First thing is, once you already take your time to heal, find the right way. If you need to go to a counseling, or if you believe in energy readings, spiritual, it's up to you. Do what is the right thing, then go into the next relationship, because by that time you're already a new person, right? And I always say that communication is the key. Let it be relationship, let it be work, let it be friendship. Sometimes you have to ask the person, like, oh, what is your take in something, breaking barriers, because you and I could be, I mean, we are two different people, we come from two different cultures and understanding, but at least communication and asking, hey Andrea, what is your expectation? What is my expectation? How can we make this together, especially in a relationship? When it comes to work, even, right? Because right now, a lot of youngsters, they are going behind. I'm not putting money in a bad way, but they're rushing for money, because they are like, no, by the time 40, I'm going to be done with work. And this rushing, right? You're going to meet a lot of people on the way. You might have a lot of problems. People are not going to understand what are your barriers. Like for me, I don't like to work at night, but I'm still working at night, because that's what I'm doing, right? I'm multitasking. But I always tell my team that, hey, listen, guys, you guys don't have to reply at me at night. And that's why they like me, because they don't have to reply to me at night. Like that conversations, that barrier that we are putting up, right? And say that, okay, done. We breaking barrier doesn't mean, like, again, break, what I would say, that always have a healthy boundaries. It's not just about, oh, don't respect another person or what. We take understanding together. When it comes to society, there's a lot of barriers that we have to break. Like I said, the young still always have an age problem. Like for me, people always be like, you're 26, what do you know? And I say, I agree, there are certain part I still have to learn. I'm not an expert, I'm still in a learning process, but I want to break the barrier and say that, listen, at the age of 26, you can do many things. And there are so many different ways of barriers. Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
No, that's perfect. Actually, I was talking to Hassan the other day, and he was mentioning the same, that it's someone is young doesn't mean that they don't know anything, or maybe they don't have that much experience, but on their level they have been already through a lot. So if they come to a company, especially all of you are so educated, you learn a lot, you are so curious and hungry for more. This is visible when you talk to someone. So from that point, that should be the breaking of the barrier, and the other person on the other side should be open, like, oh, well, here is something that I may use in the future, and it can benefit me and my company if I take this hungry young individual with all these dreams on my team. So this is something that is super inspiring for everyone who is watching us, because please, guys, if you are someone in HR, then look at the youngsters as some people who are really ready to work, ready to conquer the world, and to do their best at your companies. So just set aside the wall that you build up that they don't have experience, right?
Correct. I mean, yes, even for me, right? Because when I entered digital marketing, I come from a psychology background. I had nothing but energy and like, the interest to actually study about this. I was very lucky enough to go into a startup company where I was their first full-time worker, and they taught me everything. Things that the school didn't teach me. I don't have degree in digital marketing, right? And now to see, because of that experience, it brought me here. I'm very thankful and grateful for them. And I think they are coming up with more young talents. The company is growing bigger, and I think the same opportunity should have been given to more people, especially bigger companies. I'm just putting it out there, especially bigger companies.
No, that's the goal of this platform, that I would
Yes.
love to people to hear your messages, and I would love the different generations to understand a little bit more each other more by just seeing and listening to each other's perspectives. I'm really, really thankful for that. At the end of this interview, because I have to rush to another studio and meet Mariam from South Africa for the next conversation, tell us a little bit more about where can the people reach you. I put your name here, so I'm sure they will find you on LinkedIn, but where can people find you, and what is the thing that you're offering for people right now?
Okay, sure. So right now, like I said, because I do a few things, but the highlight is obviously my training. I run corporate trainings and also public training on topics such as psychology and digital marketing. You can actually connect with me through my LinkedIn, would be the best way. There's only one Farah Mazuini. I've not really seen somebody else with my name spelling, so you can just always type Farah Mazuini, get connected with me in LinkedIn. In Instagram is okay, but it's more of like, personal story, life story. So if you're keen with being connected in that way, you can reach out to me in Instagram. I'll also just quickly drop my email, my company email, in the private chat. So if anyone want to get in touch with me through my company's email, then you can just go ahead accordingly. Yes.
Good. I will add this email to the chat, and you can reach out to Farah. And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you
And
so much for
it was
having
a pleasure to have you here. I know you are super busy, so I'm really thankful for you for making this happen. And see you at another panel discussion. And yeah, have a beautiful
Thank
day
you.
today.
You too. Have a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for everyone for tuning in. Bye bye.